House will move to introduction of bills.
This is the moment history was made.
I commend the bill to the House.
On the 9th of September, Victoria became the first state or territory to introduce a treaty to its parliament.
This will reset the relationship between First Peoples and government.
This is it, the statewide treaty of 2025. All 258 pages. Just on a tablet because I didn't want to print all those pages.
A treaty is an agreement between two parties. They could be countries or groups of people. It's kind of like a contract with a list of responsibilities and duties. Oh, and it's legally binding. That's why treaties have played a really important part in history, whether it's ending wars or establishing rights for Indigenous people.
You've probably heard of New Zealand's Treaty of Waitangi, which was agreed on between the British Crown and Maori chiefs.
It guaranteed that Maori people had control of their lands and waterways, and granted them the same rights and privileges as British citizens. Meanwhile, Canada has 25 treaties with its First Nations.
In fact, every major Commonwealth country has a treaty with its Indigenous peoples. Oh, except Australia.
When Australia was colonised, First Nations people were forcibly removed from their land, subjected to violence, and made to work for little or no pay. And in 1901, when Australia became a federation, First Nations people weren't given a say in how this new nation would work.
In fact, until 1967, they were specifically excluded by the Constitution.
Over time, there have been many calls for a treaty that would recognise the rights of First Nations people and pave the way for reconciliation. But it wasn't until the second half of the 20th century that it became a national discussion. In 1988, the Prime Minister at the time, Bob Hawke, was handed something called the Barunga Statement, which, amongst other things, called for a treaty. And Mr. Hawke said this:
"There shall be a treaty."
Well, I heard it on the radio.
That didn't happen, but the debate didn't go away.
Treaty now. Treaty, yeah.
Fast forward to 2017, and hundreds of First Nations people met at Uluru, where they came up with this, the Uluru Statement from the Heart, which called for a makarada, a Yolngu word for coming together, peacemaking and treaty. In the years since, there have been several attempts to establish treaties, but Victoria's will be the first to actually become law.
The statewide treaty promises to recognise Victoria's First Nations' ongoing connection to the land and establish a government body called Gulong Wall.
This will create a body that will enact real, practical change for First Peoples in our state.
The treaty will also include changes to the Victorian primary and high school curriculum to include more in-depth teachings of First Nations history, culture and people.
The treaty won't take anything away from anyone. It's about building up, not tearing down. It's about a partnership.
Not everyone supported the treaty. The coalition said it would be too expensive and too similar to the National Voice, which Victorians voted no to. But the Labor Party says it'll have enough votes to pass. Now, many are hoping it will inspire treaties in other states.
This empowerment that the treaty bill will give us, it's heart-lifting. It fills my cup, and I hope it fills everyone else's cup.